What's good, y'all? Welcome to my review for AEW Full Gear. And man, was this show amazing, legit. This was AEW's best show today, at the very least top 3. And it's actually kind of funny because you had it to where All Out last time, which was back in September, I think that was, and it was pretty much, and I think we can all unanimously agree that was AEW's weakest show. From the crowd, and of course what happened with Matt Hardy, the show definitely was not of the same quality as the previous show. Still a very good show in its own right, and I still gave it a very positive and high rating, but it was definitely their weakest show. It's almost like, so then you have Full Gear, where it was almost like Tony Khan and the Bucks and everyone was on like a mission, like we put out All Out, wasn't our best work, so let's go out there and rectify with this one. That's what they did. This was their best show, at the very least their top 3. This show was absolutely amazing, featuring with one of the greatest matches I've ever seen with the Bucks and FTR. One of the greatest matches I've ever seen, period. Without a doubt, my second all-time favorite tag team match of all time, behind, of course, DIY versus The Revival at TakeOver Toronto, which we'll talk more about the tag match when we get there, because, oh boy, was that match something. Now, so without further ado, let's just jump right in. Let's just jump right into the card. So we opened the show with Kenny Omega versus Adam Hangman Page. This was a great match and a great way to start off the show. This, of course, was the finals of the tournament they were doing to figure out who was going to be the next #1 contender for the AEW Championship, along with the addition of the storyline brewing between Kenny Omega and Adam Page over the breakup and everything with that. Now, like I mentioned before, this was a great match, and it looks like Kenny Omega's knee was kind of like the thing that was kind of like the storyline, the body part that was kind of the storyline throughout this match. Because it looked like he tweaked it or something, but his knee wasn't look like it was all 100% throughout the latter part of this match. One thing that I thought was actually really cool, that I thought was awesome, is Adam Irish whipped Kenny into the barricade, but Kenny pretty much just walked or whatever, jumped on top of the barricade, did a moonsault off of it. It was a really cool scene, kind of get Irish whip, then climb up there and then do the moonsault all in one swift motion. It looked fucking cool. You of course also had Adam Page hit a pop-up powerbomb onto the apron, and he also had Dead Eyes, which actually, when he hit Dead Eyes around the end of the match, I legit thought the match was over for a second there, and I thought that Adam Page was probably going to become the next first contender and challenge Jon Moxley. I suspected that Kenny Omega was probably going to win this match, but they had me going there for a second. And we also had Adam actually try to hit his own one-winged angel, which of course Kenny countered before he could get anywhere with it. So that was actually pretty cool. And they were mentioning on commentary these two know each other so well, so because they're trying different offenses and whatever, trying each other's finishers. Fuck it, why not? One thing that I actually find kind of interesting, this wasn't really part of the match, but I found kind of that made me think a little bit, is that they actually mentioned around the start of the match, I think it was, that there's going to be this AEW game live stream thing on their YouTube channel, and they mentioned something that was going to be an announcement there. Now, if you guys have not heard, there's been rumors going around that Ute, who you guys know has been the developer for the WWE 2K games and pretty much the WWE games in general for pretty much probably for the last decade, probably even back to the THQ days with SmackDown vs. Raw. I think they were developing those games as well. They've been developing those games, and then they left they left 2K or whatever with 2K20, which is why it probably ended up being so fucking broken at launch. And there's rumor that they're working on an AEW game. I don't think it's been confirmed that they have been working on an AEW game or an AEW game has been development. I believe it has been confirmed that there's something in the works, but nothing concrete. Pretty much, I think it's all in pre-production at this point still. So that's when they might announce that the game is going to be coming out, or at least announce that the game is happening. We'll have to wait and see on that front. But anyway, yeah. So you had Adam Hangman Page try to hit one winged angel. He didn't go anywhere, but of course Kenny managed to hit the one winged angel and wins the match. But actually, when Kenny hit the one winged angel at the end of the match, you saw Adam trying to get out of there, but he couldn't, and he lost the match. So yeah, like I said before, solid match. And yeah, great way to open the show. Then we actually had a match that I didn't even know was on the card, that I guess I completely forgot about. Orange Cassidy versus John Silver. This was a good match. Nothing too crazy. Nothing I would say was that great. Nothing I would say you all have to run out and watch the show in case you guys did not see it, because this is the one match you have to see how they'll no. It was a fine enough match, good match. John Silver and Orange Cassidy are very good workers. This is more of a comedy match than anything else. Really, the only thing that was really of note in this match was first off the opening where Orange is like slowly putting his hands in his pockets and John Silver's like, no, don't do it. That was pretty funny. And of course also John Silver like ripping out Orange's pockets and then eating them. That was pretty much the funniest. That was probably the best part of the match. But Orange Cassidy wins the match. Decent for what it was. Nothing too crazy. So then we had Cody Rhodes, ladies. Yes, you heard me. Cody motherfucking Rhodes. My man finally got his last name back. It's about damn time. We'll talk about that more instead versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. This match was amazing. I love this match. Now, first thing we gotta talk about is Cody Rhodes. My man Cody finally has his goddamn name back. He finally has his last name. So, in case you guys are not here, WWE finally dropped the trademark they had on Cody Rhodes' name. Don't know why it took so long, but hey, WWE is still petty fucks, so whatever. But hey, they finally dropped it. Of course, Cody, got on that real quick as soon as he could. And the look on his face when Justin Roberts finally said, Cody Rhodes! The look on his face, the man was so happy to finally have his goddamn last name back. And of course the crowd starts erupting in Cody Rhodes chants, which I'm pretty sure is probably the first time we've heard Justin Roberts say Cody Rhodes since probably 2012. Back when he was still with the company. But yeah, man. Besides that, and Cody Rhodes finally having his last name back, thank God. You actually see Darby Allin come out on this car, and then he gets out of the car and gets on top of it, has a skateboard, and just just slams the skateboard on the window. So that was pretty cool. His entrance was really cool. But the match still was amazing. I loved one thing I absolutely loved about the match actually. This was something that was a subtle detail that probably most of y'all maybe not picked up on, but I did, and I was like, oh, I love shit like that. Is actually you had Darby go for the coffin drop, and if you guys remember last time you guys faced off back when they were still working out of Georgia, the Nightmare Factory, you guys might remember that when Darby went for the coffin drop and went for the pin, Cody shifted his body weight a little bit, where Darby Allin's shoulders were on the ground, were on the mat, and Cody was able to get the win. And so this time when Darby hits it, he flips over his body and and kind of has his stomach on top of Cody, so he can't pull that trigger again. I thought that was really cool they did that, and it was something really subtle that I'm pretty sure most of y'all didn't notice. Maybe y'all did, I don't know, but I thought that was cool. One other thing I thought was really awesome is that actually around the beginning of the match, Darby kicked out or something, and Cody legit starts doing push-ups, and then you actually have Arn Anderson be like, man, what the hell are you doing? Look, focus on Darby, stop doing the push-ups, So I like that, and Arn's like, man, what the hell are you doing? But anyway, we end the match off with this giant pinning combination, little back and forth between Darby and Cody, where they're just reversing cradles into other cradles, just moving all over the ring. I'm like, 1, 2, no, 1, 2, it was crazy. I absolutely loved it. But Darby manages to get the pin and is the new TNT champion. And of course, he's happy, great for him, congratulations, he deserves to be champion. Can't wait to see what he has in store for this run, but of course then Taz comes in there, he's enough with all this fucking tears and shit, whatever, he's just going off enough, get out of the damn ring, this, that, and third. I love Taz, man. And then, you got Ricky Starks and Brian Cage are beating him up and they're about to break his arm, but what's his name, that black dude comes in there and saves the day, and all is good. So yeah, great match. Can't wait. Looking forward to seeing what Darby's going to be doing with the TNT Championship. So then next up was Hikaru Shida and Nyla Rose. Now this was a match that I honestly had next to no interest in. There was next to no build for it, and I honestly thought this was probably the weakest match on the card. And surprisingly, it wasn't. I legit really loved this match. Surprisingly, I would say that this was probably the best well, at least one of the best AEW women's matches of all time. Now, granted, that isn't saying much, but this match was really fucking good. I don't know about y'all, but I actually ended up really enjoying this match. Of course, we had Vicky Guerrero being out there doing her screeching, which used to enrage me as a kid. Now I mark out for it low-key. I don't know why. I guess time changes. I guess the heart grows fonder or whatever with time, whatever the fuck the saying is. But yeah, that surprised me. I never thought I would actually be happy to see Vicky Guerrero. But hey, 2020 has been, the weirdest shit's happened in this goddamn year. So anyway, so Hikaru actually debuted some new gear, which looked great. So first up, of course, you have Hikaru going for that thing where she does that, the dive jumping, like Hurricane Rana, whatever she does, off the steel chair, which she goes for, originally counters, and then fucking, actually Nyla Rose looks like she's about to do the same thing, but Aubrey Edwards is like, no, put away the chair, and Hikaru manages to hit a running knee off the chair and everything. You also had Hikaru's knee ended up being the main focus for this match. One thing that was actually really crazy is that she hits an avalanche fucking Falcon Arrow on Nyla Rose. That woman is deceptively strong. You also had Nyla Rose hit a Tamashi on Hikaru, and she kicked out and won. But probably my favorite parts of the match was, okay, first is some context. So you had Nyla Rose, she pretty much had Hikaru beat, it looked like at the moment she was at. She pins her, but once the ref gets once Aubrey counts to 2, she grabs Hikaru's hair and pulls her up, making it seem like she kicked out because she's not done with beating her up. Which obviously everyone on commentary was like, you idiot, why would you do that? If you beat the champion, take it, whatever. So you had that. And then later on in the match, when Hikaru started to really get into it, she did the exact same thing, and the look on her face, looks fucking cool, man. I love Hikaru seeing this. So that was probably one of my favorite parts of the match. And she does that too, and I was like, oh shit, let's see what's going on. And then she hit a bunch of fucking Tanjiros or whatever that running knee she does is called. She does a bunch of them and finally eventually gets the win, which surprised me. I actually thought Nyla was probably going to win this match, but I'm not. But I am glad to see Hikaru did retain the championship because I like Hikaru as champion, and there's not really much for her to do as champion because the division's kind of shit, but hey, I like seeing Hikaru with the championship, so I'm not going to complain. So, that match ended up being one of the better matches on the card, surprisingly. Now, we get to what was the best match of the show, which of course was the tag match between the Young Bucks and FTR. I couldn't even tell you a tenth of this match because how fast-paced it was. I could not even do this match justice because of how good it was. This match was absolutely fucking phenomenal. One thing that I actually thought was really cool. Now, this I actually did not initially notice, and this is something JD mentioned in his review that I wanted to bring up to you guys, because I don't know if the Bucks were going for this, but if they did, it was really cool. Now, one thing I noticed is that the Bucks came out rocking Lakers colors. The black, green, the black, yellow, and the black, gold, and purple. At first, I thought they were just wearing regular colors because they're from Southern California. The Lakers won the finals. Kobe's death, whatever. I thought that they were wearing that. That was the reason they were doing it, to pay tribute to the Lakers for winning the finals or whatever. But JD mentioned that the Bucks were wearing Lakers inspired gear, but the FTR was wearing Celtics inspired gear because I didn't notice, but they were wearing green trunks. Well, they came out there and they also had those old sports jackets or whatever. That's something I did not notice, and that kind of goes into the whole Lakers-Celtics rivalry because back in the 80s when it was at its peak, because the Lakers were all glitz and glamour, Hollywood, and the Celtics were all blue collar and shit. I thought that added a lot more to the match, and it was just a nice little extra season to this already fantastic match. So I did not notice that at first, but hey, that was fucking cool. That's actually what the Bucks were going for. Now, so like I said, I can't do this much justice even if I wanted to. So I'm just legit, they hit every fucking finisher, to the attacks. They hit the heart attack, fucking twisted face, swantons, DIY, meet me in the middle was even in there too, which shocked me, even Excalibur mentioned DIY, meet me in the middle, and I'm like, well, I'm curious what Triple H thinks of that one. And there was also even another reference to their 2 out of 3 falls match at TakeOver Toronto, which I think it was. Maybe other tag matches does, but I don't care. But Anyway, so what happened was that Matt had him in, I think Dash was was locked inside the sharpshooter, and then you had Nick locking Cash, I believe is the other name, or Dash, or Dawson, whatever. I'm terrible with names, so forgive me if I end up getting the names wrong. But he had like Dawson, and also in a sharpshooter, and so they're like crawling over to each other and like holding like grab each other's hands and everything, just like what happened in the DIY match, see how 2 out of 3 falls. I love that, man. That was like one of my favorite moments from that match when they had the double submission thing going on. Oh, I love that match so much, legit. Jesse actually mentioned this in Jay's review as well, but with everything, with how shit WWE has been lately, this was really the first time in a while where I have been able to legitimately mark out while watching a match, like legit. There were so many times, I got really invested in this match, like so much so my mom was asking me because I was eating dinner while I was watching the show, and she told me like, oh, can you make sure to close the windows because you can cold, so you have to open them up because she was grilling some steaks, which were fantastic, by the way. And I told her, yeah, I'll do it later. And she's like telling me to look at her. I'm like, no, I can hear you because I'm like so focused on the match. I don't want to miss a second. That's how fucking invested I was. And I'm getting all the way in. I'll be like, 1, 2. No, I thought I actually broke the chair one time from a near fall. That I thought where the match was over. I was really invested in this match, man. And it was, if for some reason you guys did not end up watching Full Gear, when you watch this, go well in your way and watch it just for that match alone. Trust me, it's amazing. I loved it. Now, so that was amazing. But anyway, eventually the Bucks end up winning the match. And of course, Kenny actually comes in there all celebrating. Now, this actually didn't mention, that was my first time watching it. But actually, if you pay attention to the background, you would actually see Hangman, like I think it was like drinking some like whiskey or whatever, in the background, in the tunnel, just watching them. He didn't come out. I actually didn't notice on my first go-around when I first watched the show. But yeah, man, fucking phenomenal match. Absolutely loved it. 10 out of 10. Best match of the year, probably. So, after that, I'm going to be real, I was just exhausted. Legit, I was struggling to stay awake for the rest of the show because I was so exhausted from watching that tag match. But eventually, I did manage to get back up. So, first off, we had the Elite Deletion match between Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara, which was more cinematic. This match was very good. You had Hurricane Helms show up. Fucking Gregor, whatever his name is, the guy that accompanied Edge and Christian when they first debuted with the whole vampire shit. So Gangrel, that was his name. So you had him show up. You also had Senor Benjamin, the whole 9 yards. You also had them like firing. You even had them firing up fireworks at each other, like they're in like it's fucking World War I and they're in the trenches or whatever. That was quite the sight. Seeing them just going into a firefight and everyone's like trying to get down, make sure they don't get hit and whatever. It was crazy, man. You also had them go into I think it was called the deletion chambers or whatever, but it's like this warehouse and they have a ring in there and they're going at it. Fucking Sammy hits like a swanton bomb off the top of the ladder, hitting Matt Hardy but messing with his neck. Then Matt spears him into another table on the outside. He does a concerto to him before he wins, and that's how he wins the match. And he tells Senor Benjamin to take out this obsolete trash. Great match. Probably a little too long, but it was a great match nonetheless. I really enjoyed it. So then you had MJF and Chris Jericho going up next, which I actually completely forgot about this match too, because I thought, okay, we'll get the Matt Hardy match, and then we'll get to the main event. We're done. But then I forgot about this match. I'm like, oh shit. So this match was also very good, where you had MJF actually came out rocking Chris Jericho's light-up jacket, which actually I started marking out a little bit. But I was like, oh, he's bringing up the light-up jacket, but then it was just MJF. So I thought that was pretty cool. One thing I actually found, but the best part of this match was without a doubt the ending, because you had it where MJF calls for Wardlow to give him the diamond ring because he's going to cheat to win. I believe Arbery was the referee, or it might have been somebody else. They notice Wardlow is there and they start arguing with him, and MJF goes for the punch to him with the diamond ring, but he misses. Chris actually ends up getting the bat. He ends up getting the baseball bat, and of course Wardlow's like, tell him to. I turned around, MGF, and like the most ingenious thing I've ever seen. I love this match, and to quote Nigel McGuinness, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. What MJF does is he just falls onto the ground. The referee looks at him, and he sees that Cody, I don't know why I keep saying Cody, but Chris has the baseball bat in his hand, and he actually thinks that he actually hit him with it. Like, that's some straight up Eddie Guerrero shit, which I thought was absolutely amazing. But eventually, MJF managed to get the sneak up, roll up pin. He even holds the tights a little bit as well. To, of course, get the win, and now, of course, join the Inner Circle. So, another phenomenal match as well. I really enjoyed this one. And now let us move on to the main event between Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. Which, first off, what in the blue hell was Sean Kingston wearing? Like, that outfit did not make him look good at all. Green is not this man's color. At least that shade of it. It was not very flattering for him. I believe he was paying tribute to like some wrestler who recently died, which fair enough to do, but come on, man. Like, you're in an I Quit match, and like JD says in his review, he looks like a six-string basketball player in that thing. But, you know, whatever. So, this match was straight up pretty much a 90s ECW match. You had barbed wire, thumbtacks, barbed wire wrapped around your hands, and you like using like a sleeper hold as well. But probably the one that was probably the cringiest one for me anyway, probably for a lot of you, was that actually Eddie Kingston put Jon Moxley through the thumbtacks. And then later on, he grabs fucking rubbing alcohol. Now, I don't know if this was actual rubbing alcohol or just straight up fucking water. But anyway, he like starts to like just, but then he starts to like just like spill it all over Jon Moxley's back. And he's just like ah, and I'm like ooh. But yeah, man, this match was absolutely batshit insane. The whole time, I even tweeted this out. Am I watching an I Quit match or fucking 90s ECW? But anyway, man, so yeah, the match is fantastic. I'm not the biggest fan of these death matches. I can appreciate death matches, and I can go for a death match maybe once or 2 years. But is this my preferred type of wrestling? No, it is not. But I can still enjoy a death match when I get one. I'm not one of the people like, oh, what's with all the violence? I mean, like, you're watching pro wrestling, the fuck you expect? Do you complain when watching a football game that there's too much tackling? Do you go to a basketball game when there's too much trash talk? Like, come on, man. But yeah, man, Jon Moxley ends up retaining the championship, and AEW Full Gear goes off the air, man. Fantastic show. Absolutely loved it, man. Without a doubt, AEW's best show, at least in my personal opinion. Dynamite next week is going to be interesting. And yeah, man, overall, I'm going to give this show a 10 out of fucking 10. So yeah, hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you like, if you did, subscribe for new. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter if you feel like it. Links down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.
She's